Good day, everyone, respected teachers, panelists, and audience members. Today, we are gathered here to discuss a very important aspect of education, which is classroom management. As we know, effective teaching is not only about delivering content, but also about creating a learning environment where every child feel safe, respected, and motivated. Managing a classroom goes beyond rules and discipline. It involves like building trust, fostering relationships, and supporting the diverse needs of learners. In this panel discussion, we will reflect on valuable insights shared by experts such as our Dr. Preeti Tyagi ma'am, while also sharing our own experiences and our perspectives, personal experiences, and practical strategies. We hope this discussion inspires us to think deeper about the role of teachers, not just as instructors, but as guides, mentors, and facilitators of holistic growth. And also, we would like to extend our sincere gratitude to the following individuals for their invaluable contributions to today's session. Mr. Janak Kamal Godesa, Project Director, International Project for Capacity Development for ECCD Centers. And Mrs. Preeti Tyagi, ma'am, India, Academic Lecturer. Your guidance, expertise, and support have greatly enriched this discussion, and we sincerely thank you for inspiring us to continue working towards quality education for all children. So, as we are to begin the session, let me introduce the host and the panelists. Uh, I am Nazmin, the founder of IN Academy, where our focus is on advanced English education and teacher training. I hold a bachelor's degree in early childhood education, along with several professional qualifications, including TEFL, an advanced diploma in STEAM, diploma in Montessori, and preschool teacher training and elocution and English and child psychology. With over 12 years of experience in the field of education, I have the privilege of guiding both learners and teachers too. I also serve as an English, like LEP teacher at Spinnaker School of English, an institution accredited by the British Council UK, English UK, and Spinnaker International, and also an elocution and spoken English teacher at Ecumen International. Through my work, I bring both academic knowledge and practical classroom strategies together to support diverse learners. I'm very glad to be here today and look forward to sharing my perspectives with all of you. And I welcome Ms. Humaida Nazreen to talk a few words about herself.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Fatima Humaida Nazreen. I'm a teacher at Soid Kids Nursery. Let's begin, teacher.
Okay, let's begin the panel discussions. And okay, the first question would be, how does Preeti Tyagi ma'am say about classroom? Like, what does Preeti Tyagi ma'am say about classroom management, and how do you relate to it personally?
Well, Preeti Tyagi ma'am talks about classroom management as more than just rules or keeping the class quiet. She says it's everything we do to create a smooth, organized, and respectful learning space. And honestly, I really connected with that. In my own experience, I have seen how true that is. Because earlier I was focusing more on telling kids to keep quiet or follow instructions. Then I realized it wasn't really enough. Once I started doing some simple routines like, greeting each child by their names during the circle time, things started to change. Like children felt more seen and valued. Even more energetic or restless one began to calm down. And I realized that wasn't about being strict, it was about building a connection, the emotional safety. So I completely agree with Preeti Tyagi ma'am's view that classroom management is something more about how we make children feel than just what we ask them to do.
Okay, the next question would be, according to the lecture, Why is it important to connect with children emotionally?
Yes, ma'am beautifully explained that when a child feels emotionally connected, learning becomes easier. And I have seen that in my classroom too. Because there's a girl in my class who is very shy and quiet, would never answer question. So I made her monitor for a couple of weeks. All she has to do is help me with distributing everyday materials like, crayons, pencils and all. After a few days, I noticed she slowly started up to open up with me and other peers too. That small emotional bond gave her confidence. So, yes, connection brings cooperation.
Okay. So the next question would be, how does classroom setup affect learning and behavior?
I think the layout matters. When I moved desk into group, I saw more collaboration and less disruptions. Even ma'am said flexible seatings can change energy. I have seen that in my classroom too, especially with the shy kids. They become more open up.
Okay. The next question would be, how can classroom management help students with different learning styles?
I think good management supports every child, whether they are fast finishers or need more time. I remember one overachiever in my class helping a peer without me even asking. That's because our classroom culture encouraged uh, teamwork and kindness. That's when I knew that we were doing it right.
Okay. And the final question will be, why is building relationships important in managing a class?
Yes, ma'am highlights connection over control. And I completely agree with that. When I greet every child with a smile and listen to their stories, they become more cooperative. And it's so amazing how small acts like remembering their favorite colors and favorite things leads to a better behavior of children.
Okay. Thank you so much for sharing your thoughts and experiences with us.
Thank you. Thank you.
Welcome.
All right. Once again, good evening to everyone. Uh, I'm really happy to host second half of the panel discussion on the topic that every teachers connect with. Effective classroom management. This discussion is based on the insightful lecture by Preeti Tyagi ma'am, who reminded us that managing a classroom is not just about discipline or silence. It's about building a positive learning space where each child feels seen, safe, and supported. As we talk today, we will also share some of our own real classroom experiences. So let's dive into our first question for Miss Nashmit. Are you ready? Tisha, are you ready?
Yeah, I can continue.
Okay. So first question is for you is,
Yes.
what are some common types of diversity we see among learners in a classroom and how can teachers recognize them early?
In a classroom goes beyond learning social emotional needs. For example, like we may have visual learners who understand best with diagrams and auditory learners who grasp concepts through discussions, or kinesthetic learners who need hands-on activities. We also encounter children with ADHD, dyslexia, autism, or emotional challenges. Recognizing these differences in early is essential, and it starts with observation, right? A teacher who notices that one child struggles with written instructions but excels in oral tasks may identify a reading difficulty. Similarly, a student who avoids group work may need social emotional support. Regular assessments like conversations with parents and building relationship with students help the teachers identify diverse needs before they become barriers to learning.
All right. Now, can you tell me how can teachers differentiate instruction to meet the needs of both advanced learners and those who need extra support?
Yeah, the differentiated instruction is about tailoring teachers to ensure no learner feels left behind or unchallenged, right? Advanced learners may need extension, the tasks like independent projects or leadership roles in group activities to keep them motivated. On the other hand, like students needing extra support benefit from scaffolding, breaking tasks into smaller steps, like using visual aids or offering peer tutoring. For example, like in a writing lesson, gifted learners might be asked to compose a persuasive essay, like while struggling learners can focus on sentence building with word banks. Importantly, teachers should avoid labeling students publicly. Instead, they can create choices in tasks so learners feel empowered. Differentiation is not about giving, right? It's more or less work. It is about giving the right kind of work to every student.
That's a wonderful point, teacher. Now, what role does empathy and emotional connection play in supporting diverse learners?
Yeah, when we talk about empathy, it is is at the heart of inclusive education, right? Children learn best when they feel safe, valued, and understood. Emotional connection allows teachers to see beyond grades and behavior into the child's world. Like if we see, for example, a student who appears inattentive may be dealing with difficulties at home. Like when a teacher listens and shows compassion, the student feel respected and is more likely to engage. Like the more researchers also shows us that emotionally connected classrooms have fewer behavioral problems and higher academic performances. Teachers can show empathy by greeting students warmly, acknowledging their feelings, and we can celebrate their small achievements. It is not just about academics, it is about creating an environment where every child feels like my teacher believes in me, right?
That's right. That's wonderful. Now, teacher, tell me how can classroom management be adapted for our students with ADHD, autism, or other special educational needs?
Yeah. In our traditional classroom management, like strategies don't always work for neurodiverse students, right? For children with ADHD, for example, teachers may need to provide frequent breaks, allow like movements for them, or use visual timers to help with focus. For students on the autism spectrum, like predictable routines, clear instructions, and visual supports such as scheduled are crucial, right? Crucial for them. Teachers must also adopt discipline. Rather than punishing disruptive behavior, it's more effective to understand the trigger and provide alternatives for them. For instance, a student who shouts may need a stress relief strategy, like a sensory corner. Like inclusion means not expecting every child to fit into the model of behavior, but adjusting the environment so that every learner can thrive in that.
That's very insightful. So, your final question is how can assessment be made fair and inclusive for students with different learning abilities and backgrounds?
Backgrounds, right? And if we look at the traditional exams, often it's like a disadvantage for diverse learners because they measure a narrow set of skills under pressure. Inclusive assessments require flexibility and creativity. For example, an ESL student might demonstrate knowledge better through presentation than a written test, right? A child with dyslexia could be assessed orally instead of through long reading passages, right? Teachers can also use like project based assessments, portfolios, or self reflections. The key is to evaluate understanding, not just test-taking ability. Inclusivity in assessment ensures that every learner is judged on their progress and strengths rather than like we comparing against a single rigid standard. This is not only reduces anxiety, but also it gives a more accurate picture of the student's growth.
Thank you, Teacher Nashmin, for sharing such valuable thoughts with us. From your answers, we learned practical ways to handle classroom challenges while also creating an engaging learning environment. With this, we conclude our panel discussion on effective classroom management. I hope everyone listening has gained useful ideas to take back into their classrooms. Thank you.